Hey guys, welcome to a new review. Today I'm going to be reviewing my custom start to finish or No Way Out Rick Grimes figure. Now this guy is actually really good. I'm just shocked that he turned out so well because I was expecting something rather subpar, but he looks pretty good to me. But you guys decide for yourself at the end of the review. Anyway, some of you might have seen him from my tutorial and you've seen all the process, but however I will be going over a little bit of the process that I did just for people who didn't watch the entire tutorial or didn't watch it at all. So to start out, let's just take a look at some of the pieces that I used. First, I used the Series 8 Rick Grimes bottom half and the Series 4 Rick Grimes top half, and then for these little pockets back here, I used Series 4 Rick Grimes' pants part and just took those off and glued them onto here, because the Series 8 Rick Grimes actually doesn't have these pouches at all. So they did that because the jacket covered up that part, so they figured it'll just get in the way. But for customizing, that's a bit of a problem. So I would have sculpted this, but I had an extra bottom half, so why not? For other people that may not be so easy, but I think it worked out pretty well. And I did make a custom accessory for him, I'll show that off. As well as, since he had a hatchet in that episode, I got him a nice little hatchet here. Got in a trade with a guy off of Facebook. And yeah, it looks really nice with him. I really hope he carries around a hatchet more often in the show, because in the comics that's his go-to weapon. It's really neat. Okay, so enough talking about off-topic stuff. Let's look at, I suppose, the sculpt. So, since I didn't sculpt anything on him, this is just taking a look at the parts that I used. As you can see, the bottom half here is very well sculpted, and it looks very nice. The top half has a very nice shirt look to it, and to make him look a little less thick, I did shave down the front, because if you've seen the Series 2 or Series 4 Rick, he's got this weird pointy shirt at the front, and that's just got to be taken down a bit. And the wrinkles on him look very casual, looks nice. And then the face is the Series 6 Rick Grimes' face, and unfortunately it was really badly painted, so I had to repaint it myself, so I don't know, I think it turned out pretty well despite the fact that I'm not great at face paints. But take a look here, I did add 5 o'clock shadow, and that's probably the part that I'm most proud of, because I've never done 5 o'clock shadow on a figure before, and that is actually really hard to do. You have to take this tiny little paintbrush and dab it around, and it just looks pretty good to me. It looks like an actual 5 o'clock shadow on a dude. Then his eyes I painted in. You can see that. Yeah, probably not the best eye paint job, but from a distance, I think it does its job. And then the hair I did have to paint a bit too, because it didn't come down fully. I had to paint it onto his forehead a bit there. And then on the back here, like his long mullet thing going on here, I had to paint that in. And then of course the shirt too. I made a nice clean white, even though in the episode it did get very bloody, or in those episodes. I'd prefer to have it a little clean just for displaying him in other options. Plus, in future episodes, he might be wearing the same clothing and looking the same, and if I want him to look like that future character, I don't want to have to take off the blood paint, so he's just already ready for a future episode, I guess. Or a previous episode, like Season 2, he did kind of look like this, so why not? Anyway, let's take a look at his accessories. And here's accessory number 1. Now, as you can see, it's the poncho that he had in that episode, or those episodes, start to finish and No Way Out. Now, I made this from cutting out the shape from a pillowcase and then painting it up with some acrylic paints. Nice blackish and red and brown colors, just to make it look very gooey and old blood, dried up type look. And then added some glue spots with a glue gun and then painted those up. And it looks pretty nice, I think. It can hold its pose, so if I want to push down and then lift up his arm, it can do that. Move his arm forward and then bring it back down. It's not too stiff so that he can't move, as you can see. Still has the articulation points for him. And then he has this slit up front here that he had in the episode. I believe he had that so that he could make a quick draw if he wanted to. And that looks really nice. I just like that look right there. That looks like something from Man with No Name, because he had that slit right up there and he just like brings it back. Of course, that would be the Man with No Name if he, I guess, decided to cover himself in human intestines and disgusting visceral stuff. Anyway, his poncho turned out really nice, I think, except for maybe the hole's a little too big up at the neck, but I couldn't help that because otherwise I couldn't get the poncho off of his head and without having to pull off the head every time, which would be a pain. So anyway, I think that turned out rather nice. Then as you can see on the back, it does hold its form with these wrinkles, and that looks really cool. I know this was in both episode start to finish and No Way Out, so it's pretty good for display. You can do either episode. And then let's just take this off. Give me a second. You have to line it up and then pull it off. There we go. So there's the poncho. And as you can see, compared to the other poncho that we got that's an actual one from the show, it does look better. And this one here doesn't actually work on a grown man. As you can see, it just wouldn't fit. This one's meant for Carol, and this one's meant for Rick. Yeah, this one this one that they made just, I don't understand why they had to make it like that. It should have been fabric. Fabric works so much better. Okay, and I just gave him a Series 3 Rick machete here. Or, not machete. Have I been calling it a machete? No. This is a hatchet. And it looks really nice. It's got some blood on it and stuff, even though in the show, I believe it was black. But this one will do anyway. I could always just paint it if I wanted to, so that's not really a big deal. Then he's got his revolver, which is just basically, I think this might be Series 8 revolver, it might be another one. I just have so many of these revolvers I couldn't honestly tell you. And then you just stick that in his hand and he can be dual wielding, hatchet, and Colt Python, was that? I think he has a python of some sort. It's a nice gun, whatever. And pretty much he just has those 3 accessories. If I wanted to give him anything else, I couldn't even imagine what to give him. Maybe, nope, still have no idea. Maybe I could have given him a zombie Deanna as an accessory, yes. Since she's so small, she would fit as an accessory. She would be like, blah, 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 Rick, blah, 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 blah. Apparently I think Diana is some sort of troll from under a bridge, but whatever. Okay, so those are the accessories. Now let's take a look at how the articulation holds up. And since this is a custom, it'll be kind of interesting to see how much articulation was retained. Okay, articulation time. So to start off, his head has full rotation. You can bring it around 360 degrees. Not bad, right? And then you can make him look down a fair amount. You can make him look up quite a bit. And then he does have a little bit of head pivot, so you can, I don't know. I'm not sure what head pivot's good for. Nah, you can have him posing with a gun and have his head lean into it. Finally figured out what head pivot is for after all this time. Okay, full 360 at the shoulder here. Both can go full 360, even though this side's a little more slanted, so it goes up at a bit more of an angle than the other one. Slight difference there. They can both go up quite a bit. This one a bit more because this is way past a right angle to his body, whereas this one's more of just a right angle to his body. And then at his elbow here, he can do a full 360, and it can bend upward to past a 90-degree angle. And then it can bend in the other direction in a very disgusting way. And then he's got at the wrist a full rotation, making 360 degrees, another rotation. Then he can do the rolling dice pose or scratching at a wall pose. And he's got that same wrist articulation on both sides, but this arm here bends differently. It bends to about 90 degrees. And then it doesn't quite bend backwards as much, which doesn't really matter, but the bending with this way is the part that matters. Anyway, there's no waist articulation. That had to be thrown out for the figure's bottom half to stick on, because this is glued on, as you can tell. Or you might not be able to tell, I don't know, either way. And actually, I don't mind not having any waist rotation because the Series 4 Rick doesn't really have any articulation there anyway, like here. See, there's just a slight bit of movement that wouldn't really matter anyway, so that's pretty much the same. Then at the legs here he can kick out in a splits pose. Very nice. I'm not sure when you would really need him to throw his leg out like that, but it's always great to have the option. Then he can kick forward, which I do believe Rick has kicked some things, like doors and maybe some zombies and stuff. So that's useful. Let's bring that leg back down. It's always hard to bring legs back down with these figures. Arg. Okay. Both legs can kick forward in the same amount. They can kick back a little bit. Yeah, as you can see there. And then at the knee he can bend to not quite a 90-degree angle, but not too bad at all. And then he can do full rotation. He can even kick forward a bit, which is gross. Another broken leg pose. And both legs pretty much have the same amount of articulation. And then at the shoe there's a little bit of swivel, but not enough to really mention, so pretend I didn't mention it. And that's pretty much all of his articulation, which is actually pretty good for a Walking Dead figure. That's about on par with characters like T-Dog here. Theodore Douglas. Alright, so tell me what you guys think. Is Rick the ultimate action figure here, or have I failed completely? You tell me. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. And here he is next to a horrified looking Dale.